Hey, Eastern Oregon, welcome to this December the 16th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. December the 16th is my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Brian.
BC, you killed that one. That was your cleanest intro ever.
Yeah.
Killing it. Hey, okay, so before we get started, Friday before Friday today,
which is Thursday.
I don't know who I think somebody deleted it, but you know those pictures from the meeting the other night?
Yeah.
I want to address a couple of the comments on there. I don't usually do this, but first off, we're a private company. Like, we don't have to post anything, first off. Second off, we were not invited to video that. Okay? And we get paid to video things. I hope you understand that, people. So don't assume that, you know, like we're going to video everything, because that's not what we do. There, I'm done with my rant.
Yeah, well, and you know why it's not there is because I deleted
Somebody
it.
probably said something stupid. I would imagine.
No, I did. It's like I deleted. It's like I don't know. Sometimes viewers think that they are entitled. They're entitled somehow, you know. And and don't get me wrong. I'm in that same camp, you know. Until I was a media company, or we were a media company, I was critical of, and I still yell at the TV. So. But it's kind of a natural progress. But I was a little aggravated. It's like
I was reading them.
If there were people there that were not represented, it's not because they weren't invited. It's because they didn't show up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And to just attack people for no reason, like saying,
I know
you've never been home. Look at all these entitled white people. How do you know? I've been homeless when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, and what's funny, that's right. And what's funny is that I had thought about us streaming it, but the fact is that we needed to have an open conversation about this problem, and it is a problem in a lot of people's eyes. It needs to have an open conversation, and there's a certain segment of people that will punish businesses because of their opinion. Absolutely. Which is horse crap as far as I'm concerned.
And people just assume where we stand, like personally, and that pisses me off.
They have no idea.
Like, they have no idea. Nobody knows what you or I have been through. Like, they don't know like how I feel about it. You know what I mean? And that just really frustrates me.
Yeah, I
was fuming last night. Trust me.
I personally have been very close to being homeless. Spent a couple of months in the seediest hotel, cheapest one that you could possibly imagine.
And I have been homeless.
I know you have, yeah. And when I moved here, I moved from Seattle over 20 years ago, lived right in downtown in Seattle. I dealt with homelessness every day, and in a compassionate manner. I can't tell you the number of hamburgers that I have bought and provided blankets for. And so, people don't know.
Yeah, just frustrating. You're right. And then they assume that we were invited to video that or something, or like or that was like a secret meeting. That meeting only took, just so you guys know, listen right now, that meeting took place because a downtown business wrote a letter. Some other downtown businesses signed that letter. Yeah, they took it to the city manager. That was the city manager's way of addressing said letter with these businesses. I don't even think it was ever intended to be an open public forum.
But I mean, I don't. There was a broad invitation, so, and
we put it out on ours.
Yeah, right. And anyone who is interested in the details about that issue, at the end, I think toward the end of the last two city council meetings, which is on all of our network, you can get those. Chief Bell very adequately expressed the situation, and essentially he said the same information at the meeting. So,
and he reiterated it on Keeping It Clear with Cody Bowen.
Yeah, right. It's exactly right. It's the same information over and over again. So if people want to have access to it, they can. They just have to inform themselves.
Well, people are acting like it was like a hidden agenda meeting or something. It's like, dude, really? Yeah. Like,
apparently they just don't pay attention. Yeah.
like most everybody in that room is compassionate about the homeless problem. It's not like people are saying, I mean, I've heard, I was getting my haircut yesterday over in the barbershop, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about it. The guy sitting next to me was homeless in Portland. We were talking about it. And some yahoo in there just said something about, oh yeah, we should just take a hose and hose them down. And I looked at him and I said, you're an ass. Well, I already dropped the S word, but yeah, I told him he was an asshole.
Yeah.
Because like that ain't how you solve it. Like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, and at the end, and I guess that's the lesson. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you fall. We're all human beings and people.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. Well, hey, so let's roll. So now let's talk about our
I had to get that off my chest, man. I usually don't talk about stuff like that, but that one like hits home with me.
Well, and that's why I deleted the post last night. It's like, this is crazy.
I was looking for it this morning so I could quote some of the dumb responses on there, but I was like, oh, somebody already got it.
Yeah, and I know I'll probably get comments and hate mail and whatever it is, but I guess what I would comment is that I own the place. I can do what I want. So
very much.
If you don't like it, don't watch our stuff. So, all right. Hey, so let's talk about CHD is one of our big sponsors. Go ahead and take it away.
This Friday, 10 to 2 at the CHD building, which is right there on Cove Avenue where the old bowling alley is, right when you turn left to go to Rite Aid and all that off of Cove. It's right there on the corner. 10 to 2. They have a vaccination event. You can just show up. You don't have to pre-register. You can get first dose. You can get your booster. And they have the pediatric doses available too. So 10 to 2 this Friday, CHD.
Good. Yep.
Cam Designs. Wow. If you've seen our van, you know what they do. They wrap vehicles. They do, just amazing signs. They did the sign down there for the local. They've done a lot of local signs. They're doing signs for all the golf tournaments now. They also, what are they? They have the stoves, man, the high-end wood burning stoves for in your house. They do chimneys. They do chimney checks. They do chimney replacements. They work on chimneys. Their AutoCAD CNC machine is just phenomenal. I mean, he built it himself. It's really cool.
Yeah. And good people. And we're working on a video that we're going to be that'll be explain their business a little bit more and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and so then, go see them. They're out on Island Avenue right by Walmart.
Yeah. And then we're giving away a couple of tickets to A Christmas Carol. These are not the right tickets, but this
don't pay attention to the date.
This is just to remind you that those are on our Facebook page. We're going to be giving those away today. So if you're interested in going to one of those performances this weekend, which there's one Friday night and 2 on Saturday, be sure and share. Like
my boy Lee Wright's so interested, he's commented twice on it.
Yeah. So yeah, and one follow-up comment to our previous rant. Okay. And that is that Kyle and I express our opinions on this particular show. Kyle, I know, does on his sports show, but our coverage, we work really hard at our coverage being fair,
diligently.
Yeah. And I mean, we have a guy, a news director, and all he does is try and cover those things. And you can't imagine the conversations that happen in our office that are centered around all of these particular issues and making sure that we're covering them in a fair way. So, And Alex was at the meeting the other night, and he just snapped a couple of pictures and posted it and so on and so forth. So, all right.
Try to remain neutral on everything. I very rarely interject, except for on this show sometimes. But like my personal opinion doesn't matter most of the time because I mean that's not what's important. What's important is getting people information and just when it gets to the point when we have to delete something because people are being such clowns, that's to the point where it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. And I'm sure, and for those people that want to, the Observer was there. I'm sure they'll have a big write-up.
It came out today.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
It came out this morning. So.
Yep.
All righty. And they're very good about explaining the whole progress and story and so on and so forth. So it's winter out there, man.
I hate it.
You love it, right?
I hate it.
At least we didn't have to scrape the windows this morning.
No, it came off real nice and easy.
Yeah.
Oh, Gabe, I need better news than that. That's terrible. I wonder if we're going to get all the sports in today that are supposed to happen. Vale's right. Supposed to come over for basketball today, I think, at LeGrand.
I came over the hill yesterday, and it was totally the roads were bare. That's probably not.
Yeah, but yesterday wasn't today.
Yeah. And then here's tomorrow. Looks kind of like
probably the same.
Similar, yeah.
We're supposed to get a lot. I heard we're supposed to get a lot of snow on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it.
For those of you that are interested in weather, Gabe drops a weather graphic and a little audio clip every morning.
8 o'clock.
On Facebook. And then also we're going to be talking about this a lot more, but we finally have launched a Roku channel that we're very excited about. It will have this live. Anything that's live will show up there. And then all of our content
on demand
that you can watch on demand. Yeah. It's very cool. And
there's also an ongoing loop of just shows.
Yeah. And our website will reflect that same content. So
Gabe also does a weekend forecast on Fridays.
Yep.
And we have news roundup Monday, Wednesday, and Friday now.
Yep. And the weather is brought to you by
State Farm, Nate Conklin,
State Farm Insurance. Yeah,
dude. Yep. Go see him.
Always good to have. All right. Well, hey, this morning it's good to have George with us, and he's in the room just down the hallway from us, and it's great to have him. And he's going to talk to us about what's going on in the LeGrand School District, and then a new bond project that they are considering. So how you doing, George?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Brent. Good morning, Dodgy.
Good morning. Hey, before we get anywhere, have you heard anything about sports today yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Sometimes I get text message updates from the athletic director, and he'll let me know if something is canceled. But they don't usually go through me. They make those determinations.
Okay.
Then I'll even just say that the other school district usually has a strong say if they're going to travel or not, more than us.
Absolutely, yeah, because we have a home game today against Vale.
Yeah. So you probably deal with way more stuff like what Kyle and I were just ranting about. But you unfortunately can't rant like that. Yeah. But the amount of stuff that you juggle on a daily basis, varying opinions and so on and so forth, I would imagine is pretty immense at times.
Yeah, I would say it is. And no day is exactly the same lately. There's usually a new thing, a new problem, a new situation. And there's multiple perspectives that are always given, and you just got to take it all into consideration and look at the laws or the rules or the policies as well, and try to stay close.
Yeah.
Your wife must be a saint. She must be one heck of a listener.
I don't really talk to her about stuff because
no. Who do you talk to? Who do you vent to?
I don't. Other superintendents once in a while. But it's my wife's also a teacher, just in case. So there's a little bit of a mixed, things for her. She needs to be a teacher, and I need to be a superintendent. And then I don't want to overwhelm her with any kind of stress. I want her to be at peace and feel okay about her life and our family. So I try to just love her too and leave her alone.
You should find a tree like up on Mount Emily and give it a name and just go up there and just lay into it.
Yeah, no, I do talk to whoever the board chair is. Like, so Robin Maley's the board chair. I'll talk to Robin about things once in a while and just, go over stuff with her. But I'll talk to a lot of other superintendents about how I'm feeling once in a while and just, get their perspectives and listen. And, I have friends that are colleagues in other spots, and we can kind of commiserate.
Oh, nice. Good.
Well, and you seem like totally chill. I've spent quite a bit of time with you, George, and I don't know that I've ever heard you raise your voice. You lean in a little bit when you need to emphasize something, but I don't know. Do you ever get like, what's it like when George goes off the handle?
Yeah, I want to see it one day.
I would say, the more you know me and my personality over time. I mean, I'm flawed. I mean, I get mad, I get angry, I say things I shouldn't say. But it's with people that I love or people that I care about, typically I might show a little more of that side. If I'm in a professional setting, in a professional place, I'm going to always be polite and respectful, and and all of that. But I would just say too, you got to be composed. You got to be in a positive mental space to be able to make good decisions. You also have to be humble and show integrity as much as you can during hard times. And I usually feel like I don't have a choice except to try to accept what's happening and then acknowledge what's happening and then try to find a way to improve it. I've usually taken the approach that if people are letting me know that there's problems, like there's problems in this world and there's problems with humans, and my job is to help them. And so I got to lean into it to get the data, get the facts, get the information, and see what I can do to make things better and not repeat problem situations and help us to all grow. We just need to get better. I usually use that word. I don't mind if we make mistakes because mistakes are inevitable, but we got to learn from those mistakes, and we just got to get better.
Yeah, and that's a good mantra, and I've heard that from you many times, George, over the years. How long have you been here now, man?
I'm in the middle of my 5th school year.
Wow.
So year 5.
Cool. Well,
COVID has made the years a little longer.
Yeah,
or shorter, depending on how you look at it.
So. They're short and long. It seems like it's been a fast time, but it also feels like it's been a long time.
Well, yeah. It seems like we just went from it seems like we skipped like 18 months in there. It was 2019, and now it's getting ready to do 2022, and yeah, those years, this time in between has been long at times, but man, it's just, it's a blur. So, well, George, so talk to us about what's going on in the school district world. You guys are working on some projects. Talk to us about what's going on there.
Well, just in terms of projects, we're definitely considering proposing a recommendation to our school board for a bond measure that would take place in May of 2022. We refinanced our bond debt from 2014. We did that about 2.5 years ago. It did create savings for taxpayers, and it also reduced the bond levy rate. And it's kind of like refinancing your house, but we refinanced our bond. And so it is projected to create significant savings, about 20 cents to 25 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. But forgoing a decrease in taxes and maintaining our tax rate, we're going to be asking the public. Again, it has to be board approved, board recommended. There's a potential that we could have a bond for about $7.1 million and not increase any taxes at all. It would just maintain the same taxes that you've been paying for the last 6 years. So no increase at all. We've also applied for an awesome grant, which is a maintenance and facilities grant from the state, and we will likely receive $4 million. But it only happens if you have a passing bond. So there's a potential that LeGrand could receive $11 million, or LeGrand School District could receive $11.1 million. And the focus would be the annex and the maintenance building. And we would have facilities operations and maintenance move over to a new location. And then we would then put in a multi-use athletic academic center. And that would have 2 gymnasiums and 2 classrooms. And those classrooms would be STEM and CTE and science classrooms. And then we would, if there's a little bit more money, we would do an HVAC project for Willow Elementary. It has the LeGrand Virtual Learning Academy. It has the HomeLink program. It also has the district office, and we do a lot of things with the with the gymnasium as well for club sports and activities. But it has, it doesn't have an HVAC system in the 100-year-old section of it. And just in case too, the annex is 100 years old, over 100 years old. The maintenance building is over 100 years old. And the old part of Willow, the main part of Willow really is over 100 years old.
That annex building should have been torn down like 20 years ago when I was in school.
Yeah, and we're talking about the annex building at the middle school.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For this whole project mainly has to do with the middle school facility.
Yeah, and again, those are two 100-year-old buildings, and it wouldn't be any increase to taxes at all.
Wow.
It would just be maintaining taxes. And so it's a golden opportunity for us to be able to do some really cool things, really great things for the future the future of our community, but really for our students and our future students. So we're going to be, I'm going to be recommending it, but the board is considering it, and they still haven't taken any action.
Do they still do athletics in the annex building?
Yeah.
That floor's had soft spots for 20 years. That's dangerous.
Yeah, that's what we got, just in case. That's what we got, and we do take care of it. I mean, I don't want to. It is, most buildings are created to be, to last 50 years or 75 years, and when you can get 100 years out of a building, that's good. You've done a great job, and you've put in a lot of money and time and effort to make it functional and usable still. So I'm happy that we've been able to use it. But at about 100 years old, you're right. There's roofs that start cracking and pipes and the infrastructure with cement and mortar and bricks. All these things start to deteriorate over time, and that's what happens. And so improving that would be great. We have, roughly 400 to 500 students every day that go into that gymnasium and use it for PE. And then we have baseball and softball and indoor basketball.
Spend a lot of time in there.
Yeah, we have lots of club sports and activities as well for our own sports, and then we allow for other club sports to come in. So at any given time, there's 500 people that walk through that door each day to use that gym.
Wow. So let me see if I can summarize exactly what you're saying. Okay, so so you guys want to do a bond to redo that facility, that gymnasium facility, and so on and so forth, and potentially add HVAC to the Willow School facility, which is being used for some other activities. But because you refinanced the bond that you have, you're saving enough money that the whole project can be done without increasing taxes in any manner to the public. And then they would say, well, then why do you need a bond? And the reason you need a bond is to qualify for an $11 million grant that could be added to this project.
$4 million.
Very close. Very close. Okay. The number two piece is that when you take away the annex and the maintenance buildings, which are two 100-year-old buildings that are fairly close to each other, with that little bridge pathway that's not operable. But either way, we would need to relocate the maintenance grounds and facilities, and we need to relocate them. And right now, we're currently looking at the Adams Light Truck property that's been for sale for quite some time on Adams Street. It's a location that used to have the Caterpillar trucking business, as well as the other guys used to be in that location. And so we would need to relocate maintenance grounds and facilities into that area. And the reality is, again, that like the refinance of a home, we refinanced the bond, and we were able to reduce taxes that would be paid for taxpayers. But we're going to ask folks to forgo that decrease, and that gap will be around a $7.1 million gap. And so we're going to ask for that $7.1 million so that we can basically create the multi-use athletic academic center. I like the term MAC Center, so that we can create that MAC Center, which costs significant money. And then that extra $4 million that you get with the Awesome grant would be on top of that $7 million. So that would create that $11.1 million. And those funds would help to relocate the maintenance grounds facilities. And if there was any extra money, it would go towards Willow with the HVAC. It's, again, 100 years old at Willow. It only has a boiler system. When you want air to move, you have to open up the windows. When you want heat, you turn on the boiler, and it just does that kind of heat. And it doesn't circulate air. The only way you do circulate the air is with open windows. So it's a little bit complicated.
So, but the bottom line for people that is like, no, I don't want to do a bond because it's going to increase my taxes. The bottom line is all of this is not going to change their tax outlook at all.
No, it'll not change their taxes at all with the what the school has asked for in the past for the existing bond.
Right.
It won't increase any years. It's not going to do anything except maintain our current tax rate.
Got it. No, it seems kind of like a no-brainer. So essentially, hey, we're saving some money. This is the bottom. Yeah. The school district is saving some money because of financing. We really want permission to spend the money that we're saving on some other important things that need to be done.
Yeah. Taxpayers are saving money.
Right.
And we're asking them to forgo that savings.
Right.
And just allow us to keep what we've been asking for in the same tax rate, and then and move forward with creating that multi-use athletic academic center, and then relocating maintenance grounds facilities. And again, if there is funding available, we would do HVAC systems at Willow, and it's just to do those great things. And again, these are back to what I said, most buildings, it's really good if you got them to last for 50 years. There's many school districts that are urban or suburban that after 30 years, they replace buildings.
Yeah.
For us to be replacing a building after 100 years, that's kudos to us for maintaining it and keeping it and using it. But the reality is, after 100 years, a lot of things need to be replaced or remodeled or repaired, and we're at that spot.
So we got a question.
Okay, go.
Bud wants to know who pays, the federal grant money or state money?
Ooh, those are great questions. It's all state. Bonds are for buildings, and maintenance grant funds, or the Awesome grant fund, is also for buildings. And it's a state grant money for the Awesome grant. And so here's another thing to imagine. Let's say it was $11 million and you got $4 million from the state. And so taxpayers pay 7.1, the state pays another 4 million from the general state fund. Almost 40% of that project becomes funded by outside funds, not from the Grand community. So that's another viewpoint that we are getting some money. If it was a $10 million or a lower amount, it would be exactly 40% from the Awesome grant. So it's a significant support to do really, really great things for our students and for our families and for our community.
Well, things that need to happen. I mean, that annex, that building, man, it needs to be rebuilt. I mean, it's 20 years ago it was not good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a little bit broader question that I hear from people, George, and that is that why isn't the school district able to factor building replacement and improvement into their existing budget?
Oh, I love, that sounds, and to me it makes sense for us to think about that. The reality is that school district get state school funds, and state school funds are tied to student enrollment. And so when you do get, all your state school funds with enrollment, they give you enough that you can staff. that you can have curriculum, that you can have power to your buildings, that you can do repairs. Like on a regular basis, we'd have lots of maintenance, grounds and facilities work taking place in our school district just to keep everything operational. When you have 100-year-old buildings, you're spending time repairing and remodeling and fixing things already and just keeping them operational. So state school funds go towards students, student learning, staffing, associated payroll costs, benefits, heating, electricity, power, operating schools, busing schools, transporting schools, feeding students, all those kinds of things is what you get the state school funds for.
And, okay, and let me pause you. And the state school funds, does that include the money that's collected locally?
Yes.
On it? Okay, so go ahead now.
So those state school funds go for running and operating schools.
Okay.
And we do set aside, if you didn't know, we've been setting aside on the 5-year maintenance plan $300,000 each year. We've been setting aside on the high cost capital projects $500,000 each year. In my time alone, from 2015 to 2021, we've been able to spend around $11 million of our funds, of school district funds, and other outside grants to be able to put in new roofs, to put in tennis courts, to put in a new track, to put in HVAC system and heating and LED lighting, and to create significant upgrades to a lot of our facilities. And that hasn't been due to bond funds. So we set aside, but when you're also declining in enrollment, that means that you're losing state school funds because the funds are based on average daily membership of students. And if you don't have as many students, then realistically, you get less school funds. But again, a school district, for any school district to be able to save up, let's say they could save up $300,000 over 10 years. Well, that means they saved up $3 million. The cost of a building usually is far more than $3 million to be able to create a new building. And then schools have a lot of different rules and laws that they have to follow with prevailing wage. And anytime you go and you build something new, the policies, the permits, all the things that have to happen cost a lot of money. And again, I'll just say building and the cost of building increases over time. It doesn't decrease over time. And again, we've got 5 buildings realistically that are over 75 years old in our school district. Lots of money gets poured into our buildings to keep them operational. And we do invest significant resources from our own school district to make sure that they're operational. But to save up to build something for $10 million or anything that's $15 million, Central alone was about $16 million to build. Just Central alone, to save up that much money, on your own time, would take significant resources. And again, because it's state school fund, if we're diverting all that money into buildings, it means less for students, it means less for staff, it means less for day-to-day operations. And that's very hard to do, especially if you're declining in enrollment.
Cool. Good. You really need an explainer video for all of this. And I know a production company that could help you.
Somebody, there's another question. And the declining enrollment is why?
Well, obviously, I would just say if there wasn't a pandemic, it would probably be easier to have maintained our enrollment. But
yeah.
I think
that's a no-brainer.
It's a fair question though. But the pandemic has definitely created feelings of safety one way or the other from folks, and there's been a lot of folks that have decided to homeschool or go to online schools and just make different choices and options for themselves. And I don't fault anyone for doing what they think is best for their family. I accept that and I understand that. But if we didn't have a pandemic, I think things would have stayed about the same. Maybe. So,
but before that, how was the enrollment?
We were since the 2014 bond passed in 2015, our district experienced a growth in enrollment of about 150 to 200 students. And so we've lost about 180 students since the pandemic. So whatever growth in enrollment we had, we're about at the same numbers of that 2015 time period. And again, when you lose state school funds, you lose funding, or when you lose enrollment, you lose state school funds, which is a loss of funding, and it makes it much harder to operate day-to-day programs. It does mean that over time, you will wind up cutting school days or staffing or programs and services, and we have not done any of that at this time. We're using all of our savings to keep our staffing levels and to keep quality educational experience with our children as long as we can.
Cool. Well, this seems like kind of a no-brainer. I mean,
I'll say this: there are very few times where people ask for a bond and then they say, we're not going to increase your taxes.
Right.
So that's very true. It's very rare when you say, please pass the bond, because most times when people hear bond, they think, taxes.
Yeah, they're trying to get in my pocket.
Don't do that. So that's a normal, I'll just say normal feeling when people think bond, they think, I don't want to pay any more taxes. So I get that.
Yeah.
But this one is, we're not going to ask anyone to increase any taxes. You're not going to pay any more than you've already paid or that you currently pay. So that's something. And then we have an awesome grant, which is around $4 million or is $4 million. We'll find out on Monday how much exactly it is, but I've been told that we'll either get the full amount or close to the full amount. And so that's going to pay for almost 40% of those costs. That's another thing that it's very rare for us to be in this type of situation, to be able to say, we'd like to have the public support a bond, yet not increase their taxes, and then also get on top of that an additional $4 million to make things happen. So we're positioned very well. I'm really hopeful. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, George, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and I know that when we booked this, your secretary said, well, you got to get him out of there by 8:45 because he's got another gig. So yeah, and she made me commit, but it's always good to have you with us, and this seems like a really cool thing. Anything else you want to say before we take off?
Just happy holidays. I'm just really thankful for our community, thankful for our school district staff and our families and our students. We've worked really hard to keep our schools operational during this time. You know, in early September, there was a strong influx of COVID in our school district and in our community, and we just kept rolling and kept going forward. Our staff members have stepped up, our students have stepped up, families, just thankful that we could be operating and doing what we're doing with our kids in our school district. I really hope everybody enjoys the winter break and that they come back ready for a much better year in 2022. I do see we're going to be in that period of disillusionment and recovery, but we're definitely going to be going into more normal operations as we have whether it's the vaccine or other kinds of treatments. I think things are going to start to become a little bit more normal in 2022, and I look forward to that.
Excellent.
Appreciate you, George.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. We'll talk soon.
Okay, so I put the link. If you want more information about the bond, I put the link in the comments. Yeah.
Good deal.
Good stuff. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me too. If taxes aren't going to go up and they're going to get an extra $4 million, I'm confused as to why anybody would be against that.
Yeah, well, and I, as I mean, when we talked about having George on, my immediate thought was exactly what the public always thinks is like, oh man, we're going to have to, not that I was concerned about my own finances, but it's like, it's, when you're asking people for money, there's a certain segment of people out there that's like, schools have enough money. They don't need any more.
Yeah. Go in the annex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're against this, go up there and go in that annex and see where these kids are doing PE.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, look, Bud said 40 years ago it was soft.
I know.
Bud went there.
Yeah.
I mean, that building's over 100 years old, and they're having PE in there, and there's soft spots on the floor. There, I mean, there's just it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah. Good.
All right, let's on this day, and then let's get out of here.
Yeah.
On this day in 1707. 1707. Usually I don't go back this far, but I thought this was kind of cool. December 16th, 1707 was the last recorded eruption of Mount Fuji in Japan. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
On this day in 1773, what do you think happened on this day in 1773 BC? A huge event happened.
1773.
Yeah. Think history.
First shots of the Revolutionary War.
No. Boston Tea Party.
Boston Tea Party.
Sons of Liberty threw the tea shipments into the Boston Harbor.
Kind of the first shots of the.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
On this day in 1905, Variety magazine, which is a show business magazine, was first published. 1905. On this day in 1953, the very first White House press conference took place. President Eisenhower and 161 reporters. On this day in 1953. On this day in 1979, An American Christmas Carol, directed by Eric Till, starring Henry Winkler, premiered in the U.S. 1979 on this day. I was like five months old. 2019 on this day, Mariah Carey's single, All I Want for Christmas Is You, reached #1 for the first time 25 years after it was released.
Wow, that's weird.
25 years after it was released, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas hit #1. ABC.
Yeah.
What rock group has 4 men that don't sing?
I don't know.
Mount Rushmore. That's a pretty good one, actually.
That is a pretty good one.
Oh, I forgot to put my pictures up, but oh man, dang it, I'm slipping today. But I'll still the #1 song in the country. I think it was I think I went all the way back to 1971. It was Sly and the Family Stone, Family Affair. So I looked through a bunch of them, and they were all the same. So I think I went to 71. And then my quote for today, I don't have a picture, but I'll just tell it to you. It's Taylor Swift, and she said, "People haven't always been there for me, but music always has." Profound. I mean, a lot of people rely on music for a lot of different things, and people haven't always been there for me, but music always has.
Good. So, hey, couple of things. One is we did a recording and an interview of Graham Hicks. Graham Hicks has kind of been a staple around here for more than 20 years, and he's 85, just a really cool guy. And you're going to be seeing I interviewed him. And then also we did a DVD of him playing hymns, and it's just beautiful. So you'll be hearing more about that. And then I haven't told you this, but Nicole Lewis, the singer, she's going to be in the studio with us next Thursday for a Christmas.
Cool. She said,
yeah.
She sang the national anthem at the Gonzaga game.
Yeah. And so I'm very excited about it. We haven't worked out all the details yet, but I just got a text from her last night that she'll be here and be in the studio. And so we'll have to navigate that.
For the morning show?
Yep.
Okay.
Right here.
All right.
So that'll be kind of cool. And then also be sure and check out our Roku channel. We did previously have a Roku channel. And I think there's 2 of them that are available there. And just look for, we're in the process of deleting the old one. Just look for the icon that says EOA. It has our new logo. So anyhow, very cool. All of our live content shows up there live, along with some recent program content that plays there. But anything that is live comes in over the top of it, and then it goes back to the program content. And then below is also all of our on-demand stuff, and it's very current. So I have not had a Roku and got one and checked it out last night, and the Evening News Roundup was there. Your sports show yesterday or the day before was there. I mean, it's very current stuff. So it's
one more thing too. Let me add this. Wrestling Wednesdays, one time a month, is coming back. I know today's Thursday, but I'm going to drop a previously recorded version of Wrestling Wednesdays that we did a while back that's never been seen, and it features Verl Miller, and I'm going to drop that today. And,
cool.
And talk about Wrestling Wednesdays returning with me, Dustin Azure, Clell Carson, Blake McNall, and the Carlene Slabersky, the women's coach at EOU, and her husband Max, who's the women's coach at LeGrand High School. So it's going to be all the and we're going to try. I'm going to try to get other coaches involved in the Valley too, and we're just going to one time a month on Wednesdays we're going to sit down and talk about local wrestling.
Very cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Eastern Oregon, for
appreciate you. Thanks for listening to me rant today. I don't ever do that, but it felt so good.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Later.